Okay, so I'm here in the sewing department of Alaska Gear Company, where a lot of our soft goods R&D is done, and we're going to go through some new reveals, if you will, on the bunny boot launch. So I'm going to take you through a few things. I'm going to take you through some of the changes that happened during the field testing, what came and went as we went into our final boot design. I'm also going to tell you a little bit about the size curve we're going to be building for the market. I'm going to talk about a situation we created for what we call true fit, which is kind of getting around the issue of what size you should buy and what options you have to make sure the boot fits properly. This was kind of an issue with the original bunny boot. I'm going to talk to you about pricing on the boots. I'm going to talk about accessories that we're building to go with the boots. And then I'm going to give you, at the end of this thing, I'm going to give you what our pre-order dates and our estimated shipping dates are going to be for the boot. So let's get right into it. So boots come in a box like this. We're going to open the box up. We're going to pull out a bag, and this bag actually comes with your boots. You can keep the bag, and then out of it you're going to pull your boots. And this is the final delivery version of the boot. And I'm going to just take you through a couple of key things that changed as we went through the testing phase earlier this year to the final production boot. I'm actually going to bring into the frame here just to show you, this was the original boots we sent out to testers. This was actually number 46 of the 60 boots that we tested. And you can see we kind of cut it here. The primary feedback from all the testing was that the shank of the boot was a little bit too tight and too rigid, and that caused sort of pain on the shin when you were actually hiking and moving around in the boot. We had originally done this to sort of make it an easier slip-on, slip-off boot for a lot of the people that are sort of ice fishing and not moving around that much. But we quickly realized that a lot of the big users of bunny boots are a lot more mobile than we thought. So you'll see in this boot here, we ended the laces here, and then we had a pretty stiff shank. If you can see this, it's pretty stiff. You can see we cut it here in the original boot. When we did the redesign, we took into account the things that people said. So now we have a much softer top of the boot that molds much more nicely to your shin and to the shank of your leg. In addition, we added this gusset in front. And the gusset allows you, in addition to the fact that we added additional eyelets here for lace, allows you to basically tighten this thing along your shin a lot more than you could in this rigid motion. So between the gusset and the addition of these two little eyelets here, you can now, and the softness of this, you can now take this and move it much more closely to your shin. And that results in it hiking better than it did before. So that was a real big change. We really didn't have any failures of the technology, of the waterproof compartments, the sole, anything like that. We really just had sort of usability issues with the boot. Now there's two other things we changed. One is we went through endurance testing. We had tried to take weight out of the boot by taking some air, putting some, basically air pockets in the sole. That also helps with insulation. Turns out that during wear testing, those became weak points in the boot design. So in this new boot, we added a lot more rubber back into some of the key wear parts of the sole so that that boot's gonna last longer. That's another thing we did. And the third thing we did is that when you're designing a boot like this, you design for nines, a men's 9, and that's like the most common shoe size in the United States. So you design there, and then you scale up and scale down your design up into bigger sizes and smaller sizes. And then you test those extremes to make sure that your design hasn't gone out of whack as you scale the boot across all the sizes of feet. During that process, we noticed the boot was scaling a little too big to true size. So we did some adjustments at that point too. Basically some adjustments along the heel step here, as well as the instep here, so that when we scaled the boot, it scaled more perfectly to a standard size fit up into upper sizes and lower sizes. And that's really what the change in design was. All right, so that's changes in field testing. The next thing is the size curve. So we are going to be releasing this boot in a men's 4 to 15. So size 4 men's to 15 men's. Women's sizes are basically a size and a half larger than those. So basically you can think of women's as being from 5.5 to 16.5. Okay, so that would be the difference between men's and women's. In addition, and all of our sizing, people have asked, the original bunny boots was kind of weird how the sizing worked. And we aren't doing wide and narrow, we're not doing half sizes. I'll get into that here in a minute. But we wanted the boot, especially since we're going to try to market them to consumers that are going to be buying them on the web and want to really understand the fit before they buy. And since we're shipping them in and out of Alaska for that process, we wanted to be as true as we could to this thing here, which is, if I'm saying it right, the Brannock device. So this is the standard universal standard for measuring someone's foot size. So we wanted to make sure that the people that were testing the fit also were exactly what they thought they were on the Brannock scale. So we use this pretty religiously as we redesign this boot to try to get as close as possible. Obviously, our boot is a little bit larger inside to account for the thick sock that you're probably going to wear, and also to have air around your toes so that they don't freeze, which is part of the original bunny boot design as well. But this is what we tried to stick to. So when you think about size, there's going to be size guides on the web. If you come into our stores, we're going to have all these sizes guides here so you can try them on. And so on. So there'll be all kinds of things to help you try to pick the right size, but we're going to try to be pretty real to this device. All right, so we're kind of coming back to a universal standard there. So that's the size curve. Again, 4 to 15 men's. Now we want to get your fit as true as possible, so we're calling it True Fit. And with True Fit, what we're trying to do is we didn't do half sizes, but we built a system where you can kind of, if your foot's a little different, or maybe a little not the standard normal foot, we are providing you with the option of doing a couple things. So this boot here, which I took out of the box, if I reach in, it has an insole, and you see it's got a red insole, and this is a 9 red insole. And when you buy your boots, you can actually click on the boot on the website, and you can actually buy extras of these. They're relatively inexpensive. They're hydrophobic. They don't hold water, but they're going to get beat up as you use the boot. They provide a lot more contour and foot feel. So unlike the original bunny boot, you're going to really be able to hike in this boot. It's supposed to stay on your foot, not move around, and be a nice fit. However, if you're more like a half size, so this is a 9, I'm showing you a 9 right now, and this is the standard insole of it. Again, you can buy other insoles, but in addition to that, we are also providing you with an insole that's basically a half step insole. So you can take this insole, pull it out, and you can, and these are going to be relatively inexpensive too. You can buy a black insole, which if you thought you were a 9.5, for instance, you could buy a 10 boot and this extra insole, and that would basically make your 10 boot feel like a 9.5. Hopefully that makes sense. So if you put this thing in a 9.5, it's going to feel like, if you put this in a 9, it's going to feel like an 8.5. So you're going to have the options of changing these things out, and we're going to have these in quantity, so that as you're looking at your boots, you have this opportunity to basically form fit it and make it feel a little even better than it did out of the box. So that's the True Fit insole. They'll be available as well as just replacement ones as you work your boot out in the field. All right, so the next thing on the list here is talk about boot price. So the key thing to know is that the list price for the boots is going to be $390. However, we're going to have a pre-sale, which I'll tell you more about it, and the pre-sale will include a discount, which I'll tell you about here in a minute. But the basic street number for the boots is going to be $390. All right, now when you go to buy the boots, you're going to have all kinds of other options of things to buy to outfit your boots at point of sale, and this will be again in the retail or on the web. And the first one is laces. So your boots are going to come with a square lace that fits the boot, and this is again the hydrophobic laces to go with the boot that we've been testing out. But you also have the option of switching out and putting in other colored laces. And someone off camera, how many different lace colors do we have? 6. So we've got 6 different colored lace boots. So if you want to trick out your bunny boots, and I just put these in the old bunny boots so you can see it, you're going to be able to trick them out and actually change the laces out. And again, these are hydrophobic laces and they're reflective. So the boot has built into it a reflective tape here on the back, all right, for safety. But in addition, if you want more reflective, these new laces that you can buy are reflective, and you can add them to the boot, and that just gives you a little bit more, more play out in the winter. So that's one thing you can do. And again, there'll be all different sizes you can pick. And these are sourced in the United States, I believe. I remember where. Do you remember where? I'm looking off camera, but East Coast somewhere, there's a factory that we were able to source those from. I'm pretty excited about. In addition to that, put those back over here. You'll also, and I told you about the insoles, those will also be an option you can get. Also, you're going to be able to get merino wool socks, bunny boot socks. And these socks were the ones we used during testing. And these will be available in all the different sizes you need, and you'll be able to pick up pairs of those. And again, these are also sourced from a pretty cool company in the United States, not in Alaska, but in the United States, and these will be available as well to buy along with your boots. And of course, we always recommend you have at least 2 pair, because as the first pair gets wet, you swap, and then you put the other one out, and then that's kind of how you make magic in a bunny boot. The other thing you're going to have is you're going to have gaiters. So I don't have a boot with gaiters on it, but we've designed our own gaiter. And again, the key thing about designing a gaiter for a bunny boot is taking into account sort of the huge size of the boot, and just kind of compensating for, most gaiters aren't really designed for a boot of this kind of bulbous shape. So we've designed our own, and these will be available too, and they'll be in 3 different sizes for the different boot sizes. And pretty interesting design. We use an X-Pack down below, sort of the critical points along the boot, and then it gets into a more flexible material up top, all high-end hardware as well. So those are going to be available as well. And these are some examples right here. And we got those being made through a partner. They were all designed, of course, up here, and they're being designed and they're being built through a lower 48 company as well for us. Then you also can get crampons. So this is a prototype crampon, but again, with crampons, we've designed a crampon that has a bigger cushion to hold the front of the boot, and also a crampon that latches on to this heel step here. So there's going to be crampons, they're going to be red. This one happens to be orange, but they're going to be red, and you'll be able to buy those in the sizes necessary for all the boots as well at point of sale. So those are accessories: socks, laces, crampons, gaiters, and then additional insteps. All right, so the dates, the things you guys all want to hear about. We're going to be opening up pre-order sales on September 3rd. That's assuming that the factory releases the boots to us on the time frame that we expect. And if they don't, we will tell you, but the date they're supposed to ship and hit the water is September 3rd. And if that's the case, we're going to start pre-orders on that day. And if you buy through the pre-order program, the boot's going to be $360 as opposed to $390. And you'll be able to do that in the stores or on our website for pre-orders. Those boots, estimated shipping dates from Alaska to customers or for pickup in Alaska is mid to late October. So we have to bring them in, we have to quality control it. All these boots are serialized as we sell them. So as we do that, you'll be able to get them between mid-October and late October. So again, in this call, we've gone over changes on the bunny boot. We've gone over the size curve we're going to be supplying. We've gone over the explanation of the true fit insoles. We've gone over pricing. We've gone over the accessories that will be available. And we've gone over the estimated shipping and production dates for them. For any other information, I encourage you to go to our website, go to the Bunny Boot page, put your email address in there, and you're going to continue to get flow as the story evolves. And again, we'll keep releasing things in our social channels as well to keep you apprised of it. Thanks very much for your time.